Hey there, this is Cooper from Telepathic Bunny Comics. Welcome to Cryptids and Conspiracies, a special time, a little bit earlier today, because Mr. Wookie is, a little bit whipped, and it's like doing stuff for his wife tonight. Uh, so we decided that we'd go ahead and do it a little earlier today. Um, so this particular one is going to be one of those ones where we're pretty sure we know where it's going to land, but we're going to try to be as unbiased as possible. But this one's pretty much, I don't know. It's going to be a little hard to be unbiased on this one. But anyway, so bear with us. We're going to try not to be too ranty on this one, but it's going to be difficult to maintain that discipline. But anyway, let me bring on my partner in crime.
Sir, nobody worries about upsetting a droid.
That's because a droid don't pull people's arms out of their sockets when they lose. Wookiees are known to do that.
Hello.
All right.
How
Once
is
again,
everybody?
it muted me late. Anyway,
No, wait, what? Who?
well, we'll
I
find out.
protest.
What? Yeah, whatever. Anyway, let's bring on our other friend. Right.
Oh yes,
If it's no Scottish, it's crap!
it's all crap.
Hello. How y'all doing?
Welcome
I'm
to the show,
functional
girl.
at the moment.
I am very happy to be here, starving away because Wookie's busy and we're not allowed to be too ranty today. What the heck?
I'll post a video of the T-Rex claws running around the place.
Right. Yeah. So basically, today we're going to try not to be too ranty. We're going to try to be
Ranty? Us?
as
No.
down the middle as possible. I usually leave
Really?
rants to,
About down the middle,
uh,
like John McEnroe, right?
yeah, more or less.
It's on the line.
Well, anyway, I unfortunately, because there's not many like websites that itemize things to where you can just read them off. Unfortunately, I'm having to use the Wikipedia, so it's obviously going to be governmentally slanted, like out the ass. But just for the salient points, I'll use them. Got a couple of comments already, or at least one comment already.
Yes.
Hello, Cotton.
Was
How
the
you doing?
FBI wrong about what? If you don't know that, then I can't really explain it to you, my friend. So anyway,
we will get to
anyway,
Oh, Abby, what are you doing in the chat?
Get
there's
your
Abby.
Ass
in here, boy.
All right.
He
The
can't. He's in
FBI
a
and
car.
ATF
He's
were
taking
pissed
off.
that Koresh couldn't share into
That's
the
no
parkour with the
excuse.
stockpile.
He can drive. He can drive and stream.
There were no parkours. At Mount Carmel. Okay, that is fake news.
Apparently not.
Anyway, so all right.
Other
So
parkours are available.
this is funny. I'm surprised this slipped into Wikipedia. I am shocked that this slipped into Wikipedia. It said it's the Waco siege, also known as the Waco massacre.
Ooh, wow.
I'm like shocked. I'm like,
That
holy
is-
crap.
Yeah, that's interesting. What the hell?
I mean, that's
Someone-
not the governmental line. The governmental
they
line
shoved
is
in the
siege,
word
you know?
massacre, which is
Well.
fitting, but yeah, whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
But they always call them the Branch Davidians, which is not technically correct. They were called the Staff of David for a while, but it was a break
Right.
off of the Branch Davidians, which were a splinter off of the Seventh-day
Seventh-day
Adventists.
Adventist. Yeah.
And after Koresh got in charge, now Koresh was a kind of like a waif, his entire life. He was you know, subject to abuse, evidently from his almost from his infancy, with a stepfather abusing him up till he got into his grandmother's custody. But then when he was in school, evidently he claimed that he got abused at school.
Yeah, he was bullied.
So you know, he was somebody that was kind of like, you know, really starving for something. Evidently music was a outlet for him, and he took it all the way to LA, played in bands and stuff like that. So talented musician. There's music, his music's online, and he had some skill, he had ability. Pretty decent songwriter, you know. Madman in Waco, listen to it sometime. But anyway, but basically he was kind of bouncing around. He'd grown up kind of in the Seventh-day Adventist, you know, when he's his grandmother's, and he evidently vibed with the Bible very well. He could, you know, quote entire like books of the Bible effortlessly right off the top of his head. But he also was evidently brilliant storyteller. He could like according to Thibodeau, he brought the Bible alive in a way that he'd never heard any other Bible teacher ever do. And there's multiple people that survived, or multiple people that left before, you know, the massacre. We're going to call it the massacre. Okay, we're just going to call it the massacre. You know, it wasn't a siege; it was a massacre. But anyway, but multiple people that left before these events have talked about his ability to teach the Bible was just like next level. They never heard anybody break scripture down like he could, and it made him treat him with a deference that this person who had just suffered so much abuse in his life, and believed that he was meant for something better than what had happened to him. You know, what happened was the usual cult leader thing, where you get told that you're, you know, you speak for God, and long enough, you start thinking that you are God.
Yeah.
It happens. It happened to Satan. The very first, you know, crime, according to the scripture, is that Satan was being praised, or he was as Lucifer. He was like, you know, translating the praise to God. You know, that people were like, and so much so he started coveting the praise for himself, and started thinking he was up there equal to God, and that's why he fell. So anytime you raise somebody up to that level, and start, you know, believing that they speak for God, I've seen it happen with pastors that I've had in the past, where people like, oh, you don't talk against the pastor, don't speak against the pastor, you know, or something like that. And it can happen to anybody, you know. I mean, and the usual cult leader stuff happened. He started, you know, like taking wives, you know, multiple, you know, wives, and started. Some of them were below the legal age of consent.
Young wives, lots of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, 22, I think, was the number that I've
only 22.
I've seen. Hey, RJ.
22. Wow.
Only.
Yeah.
He was just a little.
22 was the number that. Yeah. Well. But the thing about it was the rest of
that's super scale adultery on so many levels.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the thing about it is everybody else was kind of like required to be abstaining. You know, you know, to not what's the word? Abstinent.
Right.
So he was like requiring everybody else to be abstinent, and he was basically the only one having a lot of sex, evidently.
Please take my wife. Take my wife. Take my wife.
So it was typical cult leader shit. Okay, I mean this
Yeah.
is you see this over and over and over and over again. Every time there's a group of people matrix built around one person, that person winds up going off doing. Imagine if you had ability to take your pick of any female in your area of to have sex with. Imagine how much you would abuse that ability.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Well,
nobody's meant to have that. No.
No.
Yep.
Go ahead,
Would
Carl.
you-
Go ahead.
Would
Go
you
ahead,
would
Carl.
you
Yeah.
would you say that he had an overinflated opinion of his own self-worth?
Well, I would say that because of, when there's two things that happen to you when you're abused as a child.
Hmm.
You either believe that you're not worthy of love, or you start thinking that everything has happened to you. You get a victim mindset, or you get a overinflated sense of self-worth that you're better than this, and that you're meant for better.
The reason
So-
that I bring that up is because I'm going to impart a little bit of Scottish slang. We call somebody who has an overinflated opinion of their own self-worth, we call a bohy.
Mm-hmm.
Now you know.
Bohy?
A bohy, the ball, full of air.
Ah.
Bohy, an overinflated. Or you could just call him an
is he in your chat?
full of crap.
Or is
Yes,
he in
he
your
is.
chat or mine?
Yeah, he's in
Okay.
my chat. Yeah, Cotton is.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's the right question.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I
the
put the
premise
question
we're going on.
in my poll as Waco was the FBI wrong? Justified is correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the FBI justify that because I worded it like that in my chat, so I was thinking it must be.
Yeah, I didn't even check your. Normally, I'll check yours to see what yours says before I do my poll, but I didn't. I just.
Okay.
Oops.
Yeah,
you just
have to deal, Cotton. Sorry, you just have to deal. Anyway.
You're absolutely right,
It's a
Cotton.
poorly worded question. All right. Anyway,
Absolutely right.
So we say all this to say, okay, this guy, for all he just basically was somebody who was like looking for a purpose in his life, and he felt like he found it, and he found people that where people were like looking down on him his entire life. He found these people that looked up to him like he was something very, very special, and so he basically became. He basically just took that and ran with it.
Well, that's going to give
Okay.
somebody a major ego as well.
Hi, boys.
So-
Merry Christmas. That is the right question.
Hey, all right,
Chris,
Conco.
Diddling kid.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah. Well, he was diddling. Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Well, preteen girls. It was probably as Now there's been some allegations that maybe there was some molestation of boys too, but that's I wasn't able to find a confirmation of that, and I'm just wondering if that was just a narrative that was set up.
Is it not a possible? Is it not possible that some of the people who are abused become abusers as well? Isn't it? I heard that.
Yeah, it's
somewhere.
possible.
Yeah,
I mean, it's entirely possible. I'm not
It's a
saying it's not
likely outcome.
possible. I just supposedly I was looking for like some kind of like a report or some kind of like official statement that one of the survivors had made, but I couldn't find that. So I'm just, it's just merely an allegation that maybe there have been some molestation of boys.
Yeah,
too.
preteen girl. Yeah, you're correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely.
I'm not identifying the guy at all, Cam. I mean, don't think that I'm giving him a walk on this. That's why I'm bringing this up first. And absolutely, the guy should have been arrested. He should have been taken into custody, and he should have gone to trial over this stuff. Okay.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
But why they closed the case on it after they visited the compound and all the family and all the parents, signed off and said that there's nothing going on. And so they that's all they could do is like do an investigation, and they closed it. But the ATF opened an investigation. That's one of the only 2 clips I've got. I'm gonna play that right quick. So 1 second. This is from Thibodeau. David Thibodeau is one of the only people that made it out. So let me play this right quick.
For a year, living on the property. And we took all the little houses down there, a bunch of little houses. We built that big house in the course of the year that I was there. Koresh had met someone named Henry McMahon, who was a licensed firearm dealer. And Henry kind of showed him the ropes and a couple of the guys the ropes of the gun business they started going to. All kinds of gun shows, and finding out that they could make quite a good profit, especially at the time Congress was passing a bill that was going to make certain ammunition very valuable. So they started to get into the business of things. And before, a couple people that had firearms, but it wasn't a huge deal, that it kind of became that last year. So it ramped up pretty quickly. But living there, we would see helicopters fly around the building, and we'd see people taking pictures of us and stuff like that. So, we knew that something was afoot. Then these 2 guys claiming that they were college students, the 2 or 3 guys moved in across the street. They started, they didn't move in any furniture or anything. They moved in equipment cases,
right?
Things like that. So they were in their mid-30s. They seemed to have, they had Serengeti sunglasses. They had really nice SUVs. It didn't really fit the mold of a bunch of college guys living next door. So pretty suspicious. But to me, I just want to get right to the Waco Tribune Herald did a series called the Sinful Messiah series. It was an investigative journalism. That's what they called it anyway. And they put that out the day before the BATF were to raid the building with the helicopters in the back and the 2 cattle trailers with the 75 agents. And, how irresponsible for them to put that article out. And just the fact they didn't work with the authorities at all and just did that out of their own arrogance really shows that some of the journalists at that time definitely have blood on their hands, as well as the commanders at the ATF who planned this raid. They lost the element of surprise. They should have stopped right there. Frankly, if they thought David was such a criminal and they had so much evidence against him, I don't understand why they didn't just get him jogging in front of their surveillance house, or David had taken them to a firing range and shot with them. So they kept saying how they were scared that Koresh was going to shoot them at any minute, but they hung out and they went off site with David. So that didn't really make a lot of sense to me. The whole thing could have been avoided, should have been avoided, and David should have had his time in court.
Absolutely. Yeah, Cotton says in the
just,
chat, they probably didn't really need to kill everybody, though. Just saying. Yeah, absolutely. Cam says, brainwash people will drink the Kool-Aid. And Cam, Jonestown. Yep, Purdue. No, exactly.
Well,
that's
we were just talking about this, Cam. We were just talking about this. You got Heaven's Gate. Heaven's Gate was a suicide cult. So Heaven's Gate,
exactly.
When they quietly committed suicide. They said their goodbyes. They recorded their videos and they committed suicide. Jonestown, the first time there was a conflict, they had been trained to commit suicide. They had been, they called them white knights, where they would, pretend to do suicide, and they would drink, Kool-Aid, and then they would go lay down, and they were being trained to do this. They were being trained to, eventually come to this end, and as soon as there's a conflict that arisen, that's what they went through with their plans. It was organized. It was, planned out. If this was a suicide cult, which is what's been alleged, then this would have been over the first day.
Yeah.
As soon as they were surrounded and as hopeless as the situation was, clearly, as many. I mean, they were surrounded by an army. They're surrounded by 5 branches of government. Okay. Yeah, there you go. All right, bye, Cam.
See you, Cam.
Catch you later. Have a good one, Cam. Merry Christmas.
Later.
They sold. I want to tell you, the morbid peoples. They mobbed every single freaking shoe store they could find that carried those black Nikes, black Nike shoes, and those purple freaking jumpers. Holy shit, that was nuts.
Okay, this is how many people were involved with the massacre. Okay, the ATF, the FBI, including the FBI hostage rescue team, fresh from Ruby Ridge. Texas Rangers, the Texas MF, whatever that is. I think it's I don't know what that is, but the ANG and the Special Air Service Advisor SAS. Okay, but essentially, and all that was surrounding that compound. If they were a suicide cult, then that would have clearly, that would have been reason right there to end it all. Okay. And if you do that,
again, he's doing his little joggy jogs around the place.
Yeah,
they could have nabbed him.
Oh, there's no question. They could have taken him down quick.
They could have nabbed him. They could have made him talk. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, they even went shooting with him.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean. And the first day,
Thank you for taking this. Thank you for taking a shooting. You are under arrest.
Yeah.
Simple.
There you go. But a young girl. I watched an interview with a young girl, and this was like a slanted leftist website. I mean, I can't remember which one it is. It's one of the really slanted leftist websites, and these 2 girls that were interviewing her were just god awful. But even they at the end, even they couldn't do the government line. They just couldn't. Of course, but they were talking to her, and she said that all they saw was like a whole bunch of it looked like black dots coming at them, and then the firing started, and then her mother was pulled her down off of a bunk bed and laid on top of her, and it was just that's all the warning they got. And then suddenly it was on, and so basically, there was very little communication that happened, and what I understand, according to the survivors that have testified, that basically there was a short demand for surrender. And then there was a immediate shot that rang out, and one of the Branch Davidians went down.
Right.
And then there was return fire from the Branch Davidians, and then the whole entire thing, suddenly there's bullet holes everywhere. And and so what appeared to me is that
was that
go ahead.
Before, because Koresh is supposed to have made a 911 call. When he did make he made a 911 call, and then they cut the phone lines. No, the reason they cut the phone lines is because he called to a radio station and told them that what was happening to a radio station. Is that what it was?
It went on
Can't
the air.
let that out.
Yeah. He didn't call the 911. He called a radio station, and they put it live on the air, what was happening to them. And he's trying to get his message out. That's why they cut the phone lines. But,
okay.
But yeah, and he tried to surrender, and he got shot twice.
Yeah, he got shot in the side or in the stomach or something. Yeah.
Yeah, he got shot twice trying to surrender, and it was just they were just ready to go. I mean, the law enforcement that were surrounding them that day were ready to, looks like they were ready to shoot anything that moved.
Pretty much shoot first and don't ask questions later.
I forget if it was the Waco thing or if I'm getting my sieges mixed up, but was there intel gathered by a guy who went in with a delivery or something? I think he spotted grenades or something, or was dropping off a package of ammunition or something like that. I can't remember if it's the
Mel. What you're probably thinking of is how they got tipped off.
Right. Okay.
The reason why they were armed and ready for them was because they tipped off the press beforehand, and the mail carrier in the area was Koresh's brother-in-law, and a local reporter asked him for directions to Mount Carmel. Because he had to get there before in time for the for the arrest
for the show.
And evidently, and so he went to a phone and called Koresh and let him know they were coming, and so they had to know that the Branch Davidians were there ready for him to show up, because they tipped the press off and the press screwed up, and they knew that they were coming, and so they were ready and armed when they got there.
Right.
And so
I knew there was something.
Yeah. And so that they basically, if they had lost the element of surprise, then they immediately should have called it off.
That's just what the guy said in the video.
That's right.
They should have called it off. They knew they were coming. They should have there was no surprise at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if you're going into a situation where you know that these people have got quite a few guns and other armaments. So,
well, basically, what should have happened is they should have built a perimeter, and then and basically negotiated for David Koresh to come out, and he would have been willing to do so. This guy, if you look at his behavior, this was not somebody who was like ready to fight to the very finish. This is not somebody who was looking to go down in a blaze of glory. He thought that that Armageddon was coming, but he was thinking bigger scale for Armageddon. He wasn't thinking it was going to be a personal Armageddon or anything.
No, I imagine he's on about the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse and the demons and the other sort of things.
Right.
That kind of stuff.
Most of these cults wind up being really obsessed with revelations. Most of them have
for some reason
that obsession. Yeah.
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 And well, during the course of the siege, there's one time where he asked for more days. They would all walk out of the compound if they would give him enough time to write his dissertation on the 7 seals. If they would give him time to write that, at the end of those, this is for 14 days to do that, and at the end of the 14 days, they would have walked out peacefully. And some of the survivors, when they came out, they were carrying part of it, saying, "Look, he's working on it. He's working on it. He's working on it. Call it off." And so basically, before that was up, at the 51 day mark, they had called in the phone that they'd put in there. They'd called in and said, "You need to surrender today or it's over." And they say they threw the phone back out. And essentially because they thought they negotiated for 14 more days. And this was like 10 days into that 14 days. Right. And so what happened next is where a lot of the really egregious stuff happens. Okay. Because they immediately started shooting in CX gas, tear gas, which had been banned by the Geneva Convention for use in foreign wars. And evidently, Miss Janet Reno was sitting on a stockpile of it.
Yeah. Was that the tear gas that was supposed to be out of use about 6 years prior or something like that, wasn't it?
Yes. And the number was something like 388 canisters were shot into this compound.
Yeah.
And what was supposed, you're supposed to space it out. It's supposed to be a couple of days to use that much, but they did it by 10 a.m. They had already shot 388 canisters in there.
Mm-hmm.
And who ordered that? The woman in charge? Well, according to her, she was operating on information that she had been given. So she stayed above it all. And nobody in the Clinton administration ever saw any kind of congressional hearing. It was all the law enforcement agencies.
Yeah,
imagine that. But basically, the kids, well, they started surrendering immediately. There was a white flag waved. There was like basically they tried to go out and get the phone, and the person that went out to try to get the phone and pull it back in got shot.
Yeah, I heard that.
And they try to they put a sign out that said restore our phones, and they were basically trying to surrender because the children didn't have gas masks. And so the children were like throwing up, and the children were sick as dogs. And so they put them in this compound or this bunker. They took them all down to the bunker. And then the first thing the tanks did was collapse the tunnel that led down to the bunker.
Oh.
And then two tanks went in both either side of the building. And I've got a clip to show about that. And according to, we've got a couple over here. Let me see. Because Wookiees evidently asleep. Janet Reno is a man in latest closing. Okay. Yeah. Hello,
right, Sandy.
Kevin. Hey, Sandy. And
Shadow Hawk.
OT Bunny panel in chat. Okay. Now, the allegation was what the law enforcement tried to say is that this was a doomsday cult, and they set fires in the compound to burn it down.
Yeah,
now,
I heard that as well.
Suicide cults, the ones that we've seen, every suicide cult has chosen poisoning. And because poisoning is relatively painless, and it's a way to, and nobody is going to choose to die by fire.
No,
I don't think so.
Not at all.
If you've ever had a burn on you in any way, shape, or form, just burn your damn finger. Are you going to volunteer to do that again?
Nope.
I mean, the outlandishness of saying that people are going to choose to burn themselves alive, that's insanity. Nobody
that's
would
kind
do
of
that.
A gruesome way to go, really.
That's incredibly it would be incredibly impossible. Yeah.
Let's think of the Let's think of the most painful and horrible way possible.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, ask Joan of Arc about that shit.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah,
she was not happy. She was not happy.
No.
And I know Cam evidently believed that everything was justified, but I'm sorry. I just don't think that one guy's bad, actions should have justified killing 28 painfully killing 28 children. I mean, these kids were vomiting. They were sick. Yeah, there you go. But absolutely. And And so that's what they tried to say happened, and they used a garbled mic that they had in the walls to try to say that they were like saying something along the lines of pour it out, but we might need it later. Pour it out. You pour out some, but we might need it later. And but when you listen to that recording, it could said anything because it was so garbled. And so when they used it as proof in the trial, some of the trial cases, the jury absolutely rejected it out of hand because they couldn't understand what it said. And so basically, that's the whole entire thing is just asinine to even contemplate it. But they were begging them. We do know for a fact that they were like saying that the children were trapped. And when they found the bodies later, the majority of the bodies were around the hole where the women and children had gone down. That was blocked off by the tanks. And so most of the people died trying to free the kids, trying to free the children from the great down there. Doesn't sound like a doomsday cult to me. Doesn't sound like a suicidal doomsday cult to me.
That's for sure.
You don't rescue people if you want them to die anyway. You just
it's a real stupid one if it was.
That doesn't make sense.
Cam.
The timing's all wrong. Oh no.
Well, but anyway, well, all right.
And
I just played that. I just did that. Anyway. All right.
I mean,
go ahead.
I could understand in some like strange and messed up way if they had to exit this world in a particular fashion or something, but you know, in a ritualistic kind of way. But obviously, doesn't make sense.
No. Okay. So I didn't see this anywhere else. I don't know where Impaville got this footage, but there's been several times over the years where over 100 law enforcement agencies. Yeah, they do. But over 100 law enforcement agents said that there was no fire used that day, except it was later discovered that they had taken incendiary rounds from an armory.
Okay.
And then they said that they shot those into the water basin for some reason. But but also when you look at how fast the fire spread, the only way there was a furniture plant near me that burned down like almost instantaneously. It was being expanded, and they were like taking out some belts in the old finishing room. Okay, in finishing rooms where you use all the lacquers and stuff like that, the really highly flammable shit. Okay.
Yeah.
And what happened was there was a lot of vapors in there, and somebody had gone in there before they cleaned the air and tried to use a acetylene torch.
Oh shit!
Oof! Bye bye.
And the whole building was emulated like in a matter of 15 minutes, and it was gone.
Oh yeah.
And they play this video. So they used to play this video for for offshore people. We used to play this video about dangers of airborne gases and stuff like that. Right. Hey man, there you go. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. But basically, the only way you get a spread that fast and that quick is if you have a flammable gas, which CX is flammable, and plus another gas that they used at the same time was even more flammable, and combined those two created cyanide gas.
Oh, lovely.
And so that's what they think killed most of the children was cyanide gas.
Lovely.
But
that's just great.
Yeah. Anyway, so
I was waiting to say just before you do. Did they cut the power? Were they using candles and stuff like that as well?
No.
No.
I mean, they cut the power first thing.
So were they lighting things with candles? Though?
Well,
that would certainly set the vapors off if that was the case.
Yeah, it probably would, but they didn't use the gas until the last day, so nothing. The flammability wouldn't have even been an issue till that last day.
Yeah.
But they also get this. I love this.
There's more.
They basically spotlit that compound all 51 nights with spotlights so they couldn't sleep, and then they played the sound of tortured animals over loudspeakers at the compound all during the night. Tortured,
it's insane.
Especially tortured rabbits. And I'm like, where did you get this soundtrack from?
It's a very good
Where did you get those sounds from? That's what I'd like to know.
Some kind of CIA torture room or something, isn't it?
I don't know, but they played that over the loudspeakers. And okay, if this was a suicide cult that you were worried going to kill themselves, why would you drive them crazy and torture them like that?
Yeah. They'd have freaking done it the first night.
Yeah, once again, it doesn't. They didn't treat this like a suicide cult, and if you're gonna save those kids, or you thought that suicide cult was going to kill those kids, then why in the world would you pin them in, and then torture the shit out of them until they went crazy? None of it makes any kind of logical sense. They're treating it. They're treating when you speak about this, they are treating the situation as though they were going up against a group of armed militia. Yeah, absolutely. Nobody can fuck you like the government can fuck you. Absolutely.
Yep.
Well.
Yep.
Okay. I've never seen a smoking gun, but in this whole thing until now. But I saw this on Oompaville. I would highly suggest you watch the Oompaville or the Wendigoon. The Wendigoon documentary was the best one I saw. It's most balanced and it had both sides, and it had congressional hearings and things like that, and updated information. But this video clip. If this doesn't piss you off, I really don't know what will. But here we go.
So. Play it.
He never got a chance to help.
Out of all the inflection points for the Waco siege, this is the biggest inflection point because the fires are the beginning of the end. This is the end. And a lot of people, conspiratorial people, believe that the tanks that were poking holes were also flamethrower tanks that were blowing flames into this building to burn it all down, which eventually led to the death of everyone. Literally everyone.
A second hole is made in the side of the building, and a third hole is made at the front door. What these tanks are doing in each picture is collapsing the inside stairwells. The following footage proves beyond any doubt that the tanks intentionally set the house on fire. It proves that the Branch Davidians were murdered. Watch carefully as the tank backs out of the house. You can see that this tank has a gas jet on the front that shoots fire. You can also see the fire quite plainly. The tank goes into the house twice, and each time as it backs out, the fire at the gas jets is plainly visible.
It's okay, guys. It's just a conspiracy. It's just a conspiracy. Really crazy conspiracy. By the way, Bill Hicks, that footage is publicly available on YouTube, and a lot of people just don't know about it. And a lot of the shit covering Waco, all the performatism over the last couple years, all the awesome documentaries that we had during COVID, they don't really talk about that.
Well, the interesting thing about the fire there that you see is if it were the flow of oxygen going in, it would come out like this. It wouldn't just come out in a line.
Yeah.
No.
So
no.
That was a flamethrower. It was directed.
It definitely looks like a directional flaming. Yeah.
Oh, there's no question about it. That was directional flame.
Yeah.
Well, they have apparatuses that you can attach to tanks to shoot flames out for when they go over jungle areas or they go over vegetation.
Yeah. Oh shit! There's picture. There's video. There's video footage in World War II in the South Pacific of freaking tanks with flamethrowers on the front of them.
Oh yeah.
You know, burning down the freaking the jungle and shit. So back in the 40s they had the technology. What the hell do you think the technology was like back then in '93?
Yeah.
Hell of a lot more advanced.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well,
they've had flame tanks since World War II. We all know that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Hey there, man. But the Thibodeau made a point that I never heard before, but I wanted to get that clip, but I ran out of time. But he said that the tanks, before they went into the buildings, had done a circle around the compound to make a fire break.
Right.
And so why would you do that if you weren't planning on creating a fire? But then he said that if you ask any kind of fireman, okay, if they want something to burn to the ground, thank you for contributing, Wookie.
You're welcome.
If you want to burn something to the ground, the best way to do it is to break out the windows on opposite ends. Now, they do controlled burns. That's what they do. They basically make a what's called a wind tunnel effect.
Right.
And so when you look at where the tanks went into the compound, they went in on opposite ends of the compound. And so you got CX gas, 388 canisters of CX gas already thrown in there. And these guys are begging to surrender. And then they back out and you see flamethrowers shoot out from the tanks. They were not supposed to get out of there. And then afterwards,
of course, the tanks took out the stairs, as it said in the video, and on the video I watched. And obviously, that's left people trapped upstairs as well.
Yeah, they took out the stairs for upstairs, and they also collapsed the tunnel that led down to the bunker, trapping the children and women. And to the last breath before they died, the men were trying to clear that tunnel. And not a doomsday cult behavior. It's not doomsday cult.
Seem like it, does it?
No, it almost seems as if the government wanted to kill every single freaking human there, no matter what.
Well,
were they?
Go ahead.
Were they a threat to the government?
Go ahead, girl.
Were they a threat to the government?
Yeah.
Oh well, that's why then.
Okay. What was on the docket at that time was a bunch of 2A things being pushed by the Clinton administration.
Yep.
They were trying to and as a matter of fact, they used Waco to they claimed that Waco had automatic weapons, and they used that to make a automatic weapon ban.
Huh.
Oh yeah, the assault weapons ban started in 94, 95.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They used Waco to get their assault weapons ban.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And which is ironic because they had I read this account. I don't know if I got it here, but there was a guy who was brought in by the lawyers of the Waco families to basically examine the weapons to determine if they were converted to fully automatic, but they were too damaged to be able to determine that. And so he basically told the lawyers that he couldn't make any determination. Suddenly, the ATF shows up at his house and crawls through his house for 2 days looking for some problem. And then after that, they left, and he calls the lawyers and says he's no longer going to be associated with this case. And instead, he was terrified for the next 2 years because he thought the ATF was looking at him.
Okay.
So Why in the world? I mean, okay. Let me put this out. The same site commander of Ruby Ridge was the site commander at Waco.
Imagine that.
And who did they bring in the
Well.
last day? And who did they bring in the last day? But a certain man named Lon Horiyuchi.
Yeah, that's Psycho Sniper from
Mr. Pew Pew.
Ruby Ridge.
Mr. Pew Pew.
Yep.
From Ruby Ridge.
Mr.
Who shot Mrs. Weaver. Yep. So that guy,
in the back of the head.
Last
in
day.
the back of the head.
Yep.
Yep.
He shot her in the back of the head.
Yep. And so the same guy shows up, and there's several bodies that were like running away from the compound that were riddled with bullet holes.
Oh yeah,
I wonder who did that.
And some people that got away from the compound that tried to go back in to try to save people were shot. Okay. By the way, at like immediately thereafter, he had his barrel retooled. Immediately thereafter.
Oh, of course.
Changing the ballistic nature of it.
Signature.
So,
yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so, I mean, why would you do that? I mean, why would you do that?
We wouldn't want those bullets. We wouldn't want those bullet striations matching up now, would we?
No.
There's something called a kill box. Okay. This is how you build a kill box. Is you isolate people into one particular area, you surround them, and then you use weaponry on them, and then you station a sniper to get rid of anybody that escapes. It's called a kill box.
Yep.
And basically, Little Bighorn. This was Little Bighorn. Nobody was going to survive this. No. And so, okay, all right. Koresh molested kids. Okay, yeah. Koresh was a nut job.
He was a bad guy. He needed to be punished correctly.
Yes, he should have been arrested for the stuff that was going on. By the way, he was allowing people in and out of that compound. He was not forcing anybody to stay. They were just
nobody
held there.
was forced.
They were held there by the force of his personality. He wasn't Jim Jones. He didn't have people with guns stationed to keep people in there. Dude. Kill box, my second favorite box. Yeah. You disturb me sometimes, Cam. You really, really do. But basically, yes, So I'm confirmed with this one, guys. Confirmed all the way.
It really doesn't show at all. Not at all.
Well, you have to wonder. It's just like the guy said. It's like Thibodeau said in the video. If they were looking to take him, they could have done it at any time, well before this whole situation started. They could have nabbed him on the street. They could have got him at the gun range. They could have done by himself, and rightfully so. They could have arrested him, took him to court, served a search warrant or whatever on the place. The people wouldn't have died. No. Whether they were ATF, I know there's some of the agents got shot and maybe killed. I don't know. Maybe that's what they were having a vengeance about. Obviously, this looks like it was all revenge for day one, when some of their comrades got freaking shot or killed, and both. Yeah. There was like revenge because they didn't let anybody. They were not going to let anybody live that came out of that building. Now some did, but not many. And then for them to allow the children to be murdered, basically massacred, it's pretty freaking reprehensible. But just like what B-Dog said, nobody can fuck you like the government can fuck you or kill you.
Yeah.
Change the word fuck to kill.
You know?
Yeah. And they do it, with impunity in these situations because there is what's called immunity. These people in these agencies get immunity. So none of these people that murdered these children, that caused the death, that set the fire, none of these people were held accountable. Not one single agent from any agency was held accountable for the murder and massacre of women and children, unarmed, trying to hide from being killed in the first place.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
There you go.
Well, I mean, if you say you're doing it for the children's welfare, that doesn't line up. Or if you said that you say you're doing it for because of the illegal weapons, well, that doesn't line up either because they destroyed all the evidence when they torched it to the ground. The only thing that makes sense is that after a certain point, seriously, derelict, but after a certain point, they had violated over 51 statutes of law enforcement statutes to do this, and the only way that they could do the cover up that they did was for nobody to be alive to testify.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right. Yeah.
They were exacting revenge because their agents fucked up, stormed the building, shot a whole bunch of shit holes in this place, and then they got shot at and hit and killed. So now they were pissed off, and so they pretty much, like I said, they pretty much murdered everybody.
They still had the black eye from Ruby Ridge. Had the black eye from Ruby Ridge.
Yeah.
And
that was Ruby Ridge.
They wonder why Gen X doesn't trust the government.
Oh yeah.
This was 90. This is like what
93 when
Ruby
this
Ridge
happened.
was like 91, and this was 93. That's like prime Gen X. That's our formative years right there. I mean, goodness gracious. And then it's like, take a vaccine, and most of the Gen X said, hell no.
Yeah.
And then that's why our generation's starting to take over because all the boomers died taking the vaccine.
Yeah. See you later, Come.
Hey, later, dude.
but
basically, my way I worded it was the FBI overreached ? Did the FBI overreached? And then it's like, is it confirmed? Is it
just the FBI, the ATF, and everybody else that was involved in it, especially the feds.
The FBI ultimately is in control of everything, and once it became a siege, that was FBI's baby then.
Well, I mean, what we know about the FBI these days, when you look back, it's just absolutely.
Guess who showed up in the congressional hearings, giving the ATF and FBI a pass?
Oh, Bill Barr.
Joe frickin' Biden.
Oh well, yeah, but
Joe Robert.
Bill Barr was the one. Bill Barr was the one protecting all these agents.
Right.
Yeah.
And using qualified immunity as the out for every single one of those agents who committed murder.
Well, what we have here is a deep state of intelligence agencies that had gone rogue during the probably through the Bush administration and all the way into the Clinton administration, and this because the same people that handled Ruby Ridge handled Waco, and if you look there's a lot of hanky stuff that happened around this time. Yeah, and as a reaction to that, Timothy McVeigh, planted, parked the truck bomb outside of Oklahoma.
Allegedly, Timothy McVeigh. I mean,
okay.
That's a subject for another video. But
allegedly in Oklahoma.
Here's the thing: everybody needs to remember, and some people didn't even know this or don't know this, but
Yeah.
Bush 1, Bush 41,
Yeah.
okay, was Reagan's vice president for 8 years and became president for his 4 years.
Yep.
Before that,
He was CIA director.
CIA from the 60s, from the 1960s. Okay? He was CIA, and once you leave, you don't leave.
No.
No.
So
yeah, nobody leaves the agency. Really,
we look back at all these different pieces of things that have happened. You know, whether they affected us personally or not, whether we claim that they're government scandal or not, whatever. Just keep in mind that the company has a lot of people everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, let me go ahead and close my poll out.
Yeah, I might as well close mine.
I have 5 votes.
I have 3.
All right, I'm going to close it out. If you got votes that you want to get in on the poll, I'm going to close it out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ending poll. All right.
Obviously, I think it's we're all confirmed here. I take it. So.
No, I've got a couple there in the middle here.
Well, I was referring to all 3 of us, but okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me give you my numbers real quick, Bunny.
All right.
I got 3 votes. I got 3 votes. I got 2 for confirmed on the question. The question was the FBI wrong, and 2 confirmed and 1 debunked of the 3.
All right. So, all right. So you got 1 debunked, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it must be Cam. I don't know.
No, I don't know. Could have been anyway.
Anyway, maybe Time Prophet slipped in or something. I don't know.
He's sneaking about somewhere. I was thinking that.
Who knows?
All right. Well, it looks like I guess the majority are confirmed. Do you agree with that?
Well, I mean, I was confirmed, obviously, right at the very beginning. But now that you've laid all this out, I'm even more confirmed.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I'm even more confirmed.
For those of you that aren't really sure, look up Wendy Goon's documentary on this. It's the most.
I didn't vote.
There you go. Well,
there you go.
But it's the most well thought out, balanced account of it that I've ever seen. That kid really is a genius when it comes to these documentaries. Him and Fat Electrician are probably the best documentarians on the net right now. But
cool.
But yeah, look at Wendy Goon's breakdown on this, because he did federal hearings as well as things that have been said since, or things that have come out since. I haven't seen many people do updates, and it's really probably the best balanced one that I've seen. And if, he doesn't really come to conclusions, but you could tell by the look on his face at the end of it, he's pretty much confirmed.
Oh yeah, exactly. Once you start digging through evidence, I mean, it's like when you've got the glaring evidence right in your face that there was some fucking really bad shit happening by our, government. It kind of really sways you.
Yeah, I've never heard. I never realized that they did the sign here. Rodney King, we understand.
Yeah, right. Rodney King, we understand. Now, I see that.
Yeah, I didn't realize that they had that sign hung. But
well,
yeah, I mean,
Rodney
King's another
LAPD
thing right there. I mean, it's like law enforcement just lost its freaking mind early in the 90s, man.
Yeah, it took one of the officers to kind of like step in and say, "Hey, I think we beat the shit out of this guy enough."
But I mean, there's a lot of shady shit going on around in the late 80s, early 90s.
Yep,
There's a lot of shady stuff going on.
A lot of stuff. Yep.
Kind of like what's going on now.
Imagine that.
Imagine that.
The more things change, the more they stay the same.
Yeah, and it always seems to happen. They had the Carter administration. We had all that stuff happening. You know, the Iran, hostage crisis and some other stuff. Gas prices going up through the roof and things like that. Then we had Reagan years that seemed to be pretty swimmingly, and then we hit the Bush years and all sorts of weird stuff started happening. And Ruby Ridge into Clinton.
When was the first school shooting? Wasn't that in 1989? The very first school shooting by a student in the United States? I think it was 1989.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, Columbine happened in mid-90s or early 90s.
Columbine had like 91, 92, I think. But this one, the very first one, recorded one that I can recall, was in 1989. And who was president then? George.
That'd be Bush. Yeah.
That'd be Bush. Bush 41.
Well, I mean,
was in charge.
Well, we had the Dunblane school shooting, and that was in early 90s, I think, if I remember. And that was what pivoted the government.
And what happens?
Ban the guns.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so in England, when the stuff happens, they suddenly ban the guns. But in America, you can't really do that because of the Second Amendment.
No.
But every time they do the school shooting, like it's like the one that happened in Houston, outside of Houston, or outside of Austin, was that of Uvalde, right?
Yeah.
What happened? They had the legislation hit the House the very next day.
Yeah. Exactly. There's a lot of questionable things that occurred during that whole situation too.
Oh yeah.
And it's just like every time it happens, they try to go for the guns. And
here's the funny thing. Okay.
Yeah.
You brought up Uvalde. That kid that did that teenager, whatever. Okay?
Yeah.
The young guy stole a truck, okay, and drove the truck to the school.
Mm-hmm.
Just so happens that school has security doors, and for some freaking reason, the door was left either unattended, unlocked, or propped open. I think it was propped open. Okay,
right?
Whatever freaking reason. Now, this ain't the 1960s. They had freaking air conditioning in that son of a bitch, so you can't tell me it was for air. So, but here's another thing. You have a guy who's no job, steals a pickup truck, but he's got
can't afford an AR for
$3,000. No, a $3,000 AR-15.
Yep.
Okay, it's always the high dollar ones. Where the hell did he get a $3,000 freaking AR-15? Okay.
We won't even go into Butler. We won't go into Butler and Thomas Crooks or anything like that.
Maybe he did a BlackRock commercial. That's what it was.
The funny thing was, here's the thing. That model of AR-15 that was used by that kid in Uvalde was the same model used by somebody at a school shooting before that.
Yeah.
All right. Interesting.
Where are they getting these high-end freaking firearms from? And all these kids have
well, I don't know. Did they ever find out all those guns that Eric Holder sent?
Yeah.
Did they ever find those guns?
Furious. Yeah.
Supposedly sent it across the border. I think a whole bunch of them were ARs, weren't they?
They're being used by some criminals right now.
All right. Anyway. All right. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So let me play.
Let's play.
Well, there you go. This is confirmed.
All right. Thank you all for coming this special time this afternoon. Looks like we got some pretty good eyes until we hit around noon, and then everybody dropped out. So I guess we'll get lunch.
Pretty much.
But thank you all for coming. Wookie, have fun being cucked out by your wife tonight. And
I'll be live streaming
tonight.
Okay. If I have another sighting of the Santa Rex. T-Rex wearing a Santa suit walking around.
There you go. Enjoy your PlayStation 5.
I'll certainly try. I'll be getting away to get something to eat in a minute.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, and I may stream tomorrow morning at this same time. We'll be talking about Christmas and the Superman trailer. So
I heard that.
It'll be a lighthearted one. We're not going to do. We'll have a coffee and BS, not a review. So
okay,
yeah,
all right,
because it's Christmas weekend. Come on, we got to be happy, not this depressing government shit.
Yeah. All right, we'll talk to you guys later.
Right.
Then.
Everybody, thanks everybody in the chat.
Have a good Christmas,
have a good one. Have a Merry Christmas, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Later.
Bye-bye.